I've had some low times in my life where growing up, I was 15 years old, moved out on my own. You know, of course, my dad signed the thing so I could rent the apartment, but moved out on my own. You know, and growing up in difficult times, it taught me to isolate from everybody, and it taught me to not count on anybody, and that I was safer when I was on myself or with a few select people. You know, but the whole time I was trying to impress everybody around me, so I was never being true to myself. I was never being authentic to who I really was or wanted, because my ideals were wrapped around my ego, and that looking cool and doing, you know, sleeping with girls and trying to be impressive and all that other stuff, instead of actually trying to get to know the girl and have a real relationship. You know, my perception of a lot of things were really messed up. So being in those difficult times, losing everything, caused me to be in a situation where I had to face God and ask him why, what was the purpose of all these things. And in my soul search, he showed me the path, and I cannot express it in a way that anybody could understand unless you lost everything before and you have felt completely isolated and never cried out to God, or if you are in meditation and you get in that zone where you can remove all thoughts from your mind, where you don't have any ideals or expectations, but allow the thoughts to form, to come to you rather, that are already existing. So God kind of showed me what my purpose was, and that I was meant to help others. And you know, I couldn't understand why I had a lifetime. The first time I had been to prison, I had 8 felony charges: burglary, battery, interfering with a 911 call, trafficking heroin, possession of cocaine, intent to sell. I got out of prison, and in the state of Florida, got my realtor license. I jumped through a lot of hoops. I proved myself. I had gone through rehabilitation. I was not a danger to the community in any shape or form. Just didn't allow myself to accept or make excuses for missing any opportunities as they would arise. So I grinded, still isolating prior to anything ever going to treatment then. And I, you know, didn't make it, relapsed, ended up back in that spot that I'm telling you about. So in that spot, after going twice and relapsing for the second time, I'm in prison now again. And I couldn't understand why I had all these good jobs. You know, I managed a mortgage company. I was VP of a real estate investment company. You know, I had lost it several times. I lost everything that I worked for. Growing up in sales and bars and restaurants, you know, in that sales atmosphere, dealing with customers and people, you really get to know people. And the longer I've been around, the more I've noticed that genuine authenticity, like being your true self, will get you further in life, and whether it's business or your friends, just being true to yourself and just being kind to people and helping them, I found, is getting me further than anything else. But I say all that to say this, because in those difficult times, I used to force everything in my life when I was in sales, even when I was younger, in my younger years. Now I'm realizing that going with the flow and letting God's will for my life just kind of unfold is exactly what he puts us. He gives us everything we need. And where I am today is 10 times better than anything I could have ever planned. One of the reasons is I listened to what God put on my heart, and I started the nonprofit, and we're doing housing for seniors and veterans. We're doing affordable housing, and it's been a real challenge trying to figure out all the intricacies of starting a 501c3, you know, getting your tax exemption, doing all these things. It's just, there's a lot to it, and the learning process, even though it was something that God put on my heart and let me see, you know, it's been very challenging. We changed locations, physical addresses to be near certain family members, and it's caused me to change things in myself. I went back to school. I've been out of prison for 3.5 years. I went back to school, got my HVAC certification. I got my Associates of Science. I started an air conditioning company. We're partnering with an electrical contractor. You know, I have a construction company that I started. Through difficult times, through being in prison. I got out with nothing, man. When I got out, I was at the work release center from the prison. I stacked all my money. As soon as I got out, I had enough to get a truck. Then I had to go to rehab because I was on community control. I go to rehab with the money that I stacked up. It was $1,200. I got some shitty ass Ford truck, I'm driving a brand new one today. I still keep the key on my keychain to remind me to be grateful. But I saved the money from there at that rehab. It was $225 a week. All the food was included. So I saved up my money as soon as I could. As soon as I was able to work, I started my construction company and started trying to find work. And it wasn't any one thing that I've done in particular. It is a myriad of things, and just kind of going with it until something works. And it's all starting to take place. I mean, as anything goes, whatever you're doing, riding a bike or starting a business, you're going to ride, you're going to fall down, you're going to get back up, and you're going to learn how to not fall down anymore. And when that happens, it just seems like everything becomes fluid. But is it ever really fluid if you're constantly learning? No, we're going to constantly be falling down and getting back up for the rest of our lives. So it's nice to see, the things starting to fall into place. In the past, there were times where things got so difficult and I'd relapse because, man, I couldn't handle the pressure. 3 years as a realtor, working 70 hours a week, doing open houses on the weekends, working 70 hours a week at the restaurant so I could pay my bills, just so I could pay all of the real estate association fees. I could pay for all the training seminars I was driving to learn more, just everything associated with all the costs. 3 years of this, and I just I folded, man. I was weak, and under all that pressure, and looking back at those moments, as I have had a lot of time to reflect of being locked up, you realize that in that weakness, had I pushed through in that moment, because it is that defining moment where it gets difficult and you just say, fuck it, I can't do this anymore, and you give up, or you continue to power through. Because there's been a lot of times, especially this time, that I've wanted to give up, but I know what happens when I give up, and that wasn't an option. But the crazy part of that is that I never was raised to give up. It was the drugs and that lifestyle and allowing the people to be around me that were conducive to that sort of lifestyle and behavior. It altered my perception, it altered my view, it altered my trajectory, who I am as a man, what I consist of, my integrity. It's all relevant, in the mind space of things. And it's crazy. Today, we bought our first house last week for the nonprofit. It's going to be a veteran community transition house sort of thing. So the guys that are coming back, or if they just need to be around people that understand, each other. So that's what it really all boils down to. One of the main reasons that I went to rehab was not because I thought I was going to use drugs again, because that wasn't even an option. The reason I didn't want to use drugs again is because while I was locked up, I lost both of my grandmas. I lost my little 22-year-old brother. It was like all these moments and all these, weddings of my nieces, my brothers, and my parents and my sisters, like all these special moments in their lives, like their babies and their weddings. I miss so much, and I'll never get that back. So the value of that with me, it all resonates, and that's why I'm doing everything that I'm doing now, because I don't want to miss another opportunity. And I knew that I was never going to use again. I just wanted to make sure that I was living to the best of my ability, and I didn't want to ever feel that way again. So by me going to rehab, I knew the one thing that I needed to fix in myself was having a community. So the rehab actually was what God was showing me, what I had been praying for. What he showed me in my nonprofit was that being in a house for veterans, if you're another veteran, you can assimilate to the same process of reintegrating into society. Same if you're getting out of prison, or if you're trying to get sober. You become the 5 people you surround yourself with. So if the people around you are actually sober and they're trying, you guys are going to make it. But if you got people that are kind of on the fence, it's going to be that one bad apple that tears you down. So, I believe that God has a purpose, and everything that is done we are all created for a divine purpose. Everything that's happened in my life was all a culmination of everything that is going down right now. I am now partnered with, like I told you, the HVAC company. My other partner is a general contractor, and I have all these separate businesses all kind of working together to help each other. And as each opportunity arises, I just keep my eyes open. I'm learning in my older age to allow my money to work for me rather than to me physically work. Part of that aspect is really, I think it's just when you get older, you start to look around you and notice what's going on and realize, hey man, I'm not getting any younger. Busting my ass for my whole life, making everybody else rich is not working for me. So something's got to change. And if nothing changes, guess what? Nothing fucking changes. So I made all these sacrifices. I'm still making sacrifices, man, every single day. But I wager those sacrifices. I have discernment. I try not to help anybody that isn't going to help themselves, because that's just creating another person that feels entitled to things that they didn't earn. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I'm learning. Like, we just bought the first veteran house. We ordered all the supplies. I had an idea. I went to Home Depot to get the $20,000 in material, and I told them, you know, my pro account, my nonprofit, and everything, got all that in there, and showed them what my, you know, what I wanted to do. So they gave me the best price possible. I turned with her, and I told her too. I told her I'm going to Lowe's, taking the Home Depot receipt to Lowe's, or estimate. I'm gonna go talk to them. They beat them on the price, and I brought that receipt back to Home Depot, and I said to them, hey, I didn't think it would be very fair if I gave Lowe's your receipt and let them beat you, and I didn't give you their receipt and let you at least try to beat them. So she took it. They beat the price. We walked out of there with I think it was like $4,000 less in materials. We saved almost $4,000. So it's right around 15. I think we were at like 18 or 19 originally. So, you know what I mean? That was something new that I learned. Up until several years ago, I learned how to do the contracts for bidding on jobs. We had a big commercial building where we did a lot of extra stuff that were supposed to be in change orders, but I was new to the business, so we probably missed like $60,000 in change orders that I wasn't aware that I had to write up every time we did something for approval, the check off, so we could do it for them. We were just doing it thinking that we were going to get reimbursed for the money and the work that we did, but not the case. So anyways, all these things, all this money that gets left on the table, all these opportunities, even when we lose money on jobs and people don't, you know, we don't get a paycheck for months, it's still just part of the learning process, man. And it's just every time something gets messed up, it teaches us something, and we grow and get a little bit stronger. So, I mean, I'm going to try to keep all my stuff, you know, I try to be 100 with everything. I'm going to try to keep it real, everything that's happening as the process goes by, to show everybody what we're doing, because I think it's pretty interesting, man. Watching everything unfold, I kind of wish I could be a fly on the wall sometimes of what is happening in my life and show you guys, because it's fucking amazing, man. We have a technical institute that we're partnering with. The guy is a friggin' genius, Louis Valsaint. He used to be Department of Defense. He wrote up a curriculum for virtual training. I believe it was for the Navy, if I'm not mistaken. And they said it was one of the most advanced, it was the most advanced training that they had to date. Since then, he became in the private sector. He's now my business partner. We're working on some big projects. We got some re-entry stuff coming. We have some other stuff where we're giving free medical treatment to people with, so it's testing, treatment, health insurance, all of it's free. It's a mobile, we'll drive around to, you know, if it's a church or a re-entry house or a homeless shelter, anybody that wants treatment, we're going to drive around, we're going to talk to the people, we're going to help them. There's a myriad of different things we have available. I'll have the link on these sites here soon so we can show everybody what's going on. And I'm going to try to, I've been quiet for the last year because I've been in school and I had to sacrifice, and I didn't think really making videos about working out is going to be like the greatest and best use of my time, nor can I help the most amount of people. And that's what this is about, is doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Every day we're setting this up so we can eliminate veterans and seniors who don't have a safe place to live. We are trying to eliminate the recidivism rate in Florida and try to kind of give these guys a real shot by giving them education in technical, real vocational jobs, you know, electrical, HVAC, plumbing. We have a lot of different opportunities, construction management. And they're all going to work with our nonprofit to house people, and it's all for the greater good, man. That's what it's really all about, is helping each other. For me, the first part of my life was all about me, and I realize that now as a parent, that I was a selfish little dick, and but that's life, man. Anyways, love you guys. Hope you're having a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Later.